it's such an honor to be here this afternoon virtually with all of you, and happy Halloween. Um, I've been president several months now, and nothing's really changed. Dad, Dad is still he's here every day and wouldn't have it any other way. He's still very much involved and still as passionate as ever about what we do here. So I'm anxious to share a little bit about the nursery with all of you today, and a little bit about the work we're doing with the Chinquapin. And you know, these types of projects are what excite us, and really, you know, give meaning to our mission, which is restoring the Earth's ecosystem one tree at a time. So, Victoria, am I to pull up my PowerPoint and share the screen? Is that how this works?
Yeah, if you can't do that, I have it downloaded. If you can't,
I can sure do that. Let me pull it up and share my screen. Okay, get this in. Okay, can everybody hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So Forest Keeling Nursery is located in Elsberry, Missouri, which is in Lincoln County. We're just a few miles west of the Mississippi River, on a beautiful site of very windblown, less soil. Although we don't grow a lot in that soil anymore. We've transitioned over to a container production nursery, and we've got about 300 acres, and pride ourselves on the fact that we grow 98% of our production is native plants, native to the region. This is just an overview of the nursery, and I don't know if I can. What we are very sustainable, and one thing that is a valuable resource to us is our water. And you can see this is our main lake. It's about a 25-acre lake, and it feeds all these other ponds. There's one, here's one, here's one. There's several others that you can't see on this overhead, but all of our irrigation water is all collected back through into this reservoir here that you see, and it goes through a constructed wetland that keeps all the nutrients out of the water that we recapture. So it's one of the many things that we do that is keeps us sustainable. So I know Steve mentioned RPM, and RPM stands for Root Production Method, and it's a growing methodology that my father, Wayne Lovelace, developed over years and years of research and trial and error. And it's a multi-step process, and it is patented. It's patented here in the U.S. and also in several other countries, where it's used to produce this massive root system that helps plants establish better and take up more nutrients and grow faster. It starts with seed selection, and we have a special growing medium that is it's pine bark and rice hulls, sand, and other ingredients and special, with the, of course, fertilizers, but we also are very interested in biological and fungal attributes of the soil, and so we include those too. It's as I mentioned, is a multi-step process that is consists of air pruning at different specific depths. We have an early air pruning at a certain depth at the time of germination. Then we upsize that seedling into another bottomless pot, and it's air pruned again before it goes into our 3-gallon, our ultimate, size of distribution. The timing of the transplanting is done when most species will produce a temporary terminal bud, and when that happens, we know that all the activity is going to the root development and the root growth, and so that's when we transplant. We inoculate everything we grow with mycorrhiza, which is I'm sure most of you are aware of what mycorrhiza is. It's a beneficial fungus that helps the root system take up more nutrients than it would otherwise be able to. So we can go again. Again, we talked about seed selection, and it's very important to us. We track everything that we grow to its original seed source, and we like to use local seed provenance that each plant has sort of an internal, clock system that tells it when to go dormant, when to wake up, and those, even if it's the same species, those can vary in different seed ecotypes. So we like to keep our seed source within a 200-mile radius generally of where we're sending the plant. As I mentioned, differences in germination traits, flowering cycle. We track all our seed sources. And it is the most challenging aspect of managing our inventory. This is one of our established seed orchards. A lot of it's hard to collect seed from some areas, some wetlands. It's hard to get there. It's hard to beat the wildlife sometimes. So we've established these seed orchards, bringing some wetland species up to the south side to make the seed available when we need it. And this is a typical map of our seed stores. So I think this first circle is 150-mile radius, second 200, the third 300. So this is how we service customers throughout the United States, primarily East, Southeast, and Midwest, but we do go west and a little southwest. But this is how we determine what's appropriate for a customer in the East versus a customer in the Southeast. This Mycorrhizae is, you can see here, this is all mycorrhiza that's inoculated. We get this established in the first year of growth, and it's just it gives the plant such a jump start when you take it to the planting site, and you're able to take this living fungus to that site. Steve mentioned Edith. This is Edith, and this is the first step in the RPM system is planting the seed. And you can see we're using this this flat that if we tipped it up, you would see that it's not bottomless, but it has openings for air to reach the terminal, the initial root, and the root tip, when it's exposed to the air, that's how it's actually pruned. That's what it's called, root air pruning. And these are oak seedlings that have been air pruned. You can see the original taproot that was here. This was exposed to air, and it essentially died, and then all of these lateral roots were produced. And that's the very beginning of the RPM process. We upsized into this container, which is also bottomless, and you can also already see the mycorrhiza that we've got established in the media. And then this is the final, this is what we call our step 3. And the goal is to have, you know, a very robust and full root system that the client can take to a site. And with this product, we get 95% survival on outplantings with no follow-up care. This is a comparison. These are actually the same age. This would be a typically grown oak seedling, and this is an RPM produced seedling. And again, these are the same age. They're both 18 months. This was a study done at the University of Missouri comparing half-sibling seedlings grown under traditional seedling grown methods and the RPM system. This was the bare root. These happen to be pecans, and you can see the difference between the bare root and the RPM produced trees, the difference in the growth. Same here. This is the same study. This is black oak. This is the bare root, cookie cutting of the bare root and the RPM. It's a 16-year-old northern red oak. And this happens to be a pin oak after 9 growing seasons in a wetland that's flooded every year. This was a bottomland restoration project. There were 3,000 oaks planted, 30 days flooding, we had 7 trees die, 99% survival. After 6 years, they were 18 to 25 feet tall. We put them to the test. The seedling this is on a mine reclamation site. And again, we get 95% survival. We get early fruit and nut mass production. Most of the literature will tell you on oaks that it can be anywhere from 15 to 20 years before they start producing acorns, and we get production in the 2nd and 3rd year, which really helps in restoration. This is an oak seedling that was produced from a 7-year planting, and you know the tree shouldn't, according to the literature, should not even be producing acorns, and they're already getting regeneration. So this is just a little bit, we've got a a couple of Chinquapin trees that are planted here. I believe they came to us from somewhere around 2005 was when the seed was germinated, and so we're already getting some production. Just to give you an idea. Some more of the stock plants that we have. These are Ozark Chinquapins that are currently seeded and will be going into stratification. Well, they are in stratification, and what that means is we go ahead, we seed them in these flats, and we put them on a pallet, wrap them in cellophane, and store them over the winter in a cooler that's kept somewhere between 38 to 40 degrees. These are not Ozark Chinquapin. These are some European hybrids that we do for a program in Michigan. But again, you can just see this is what we call our scion orchard. We've got it protected with deer fencing because the deer do love them. Here's step 2 chestnut, and again you can see the massive roots that we're able to develop on that. This is actually an American here that again you can see the massive roots that we've got started. Then this would be the 3-gallon, and there's the root system that we produced. Again, that's just a house of those are all chestnut grafts, but that's Lupe that Steve mentioned, and he runs the program and takes care of the chestnuts. I thought I'd just let you talk a little bit just about our volume that we do here. We grow probably about 500,000 containers a year in that 3-gallon size. And this is our new automated potting line where we mix our media here. Got a hopper for the pine bark, a hopper for the rice hulls, hopper for the sand. We also add some recycled material in here to help us with the microbial activity in the plant, in the media. And this is typical of how we move product. These are all getting ready to be upsized. There's the potting line. How we label everything, and again, the seed source is on here. You can't see it, but it's on there. And that's those are actually little red buds that are getting ready to go out to the production bays. We were the 4th nursery in the country. We were part of a pilot program for a program called SANC, which is the Systems Approach to Nursery Certification. And what's important about this is because of becoming SANC certified, we have reduced our reliance on pesticides dramatically. It's a it's a best practices management, a best management practice system, to where you identify your, where your critical control points are, and where you might be introducing a pest or disease into your nursery production, and you mitigate those risks by best management practices. And so it has, we continue to rely less and less on chemicals. We have totally eliminated neonicotinoids from the system. And the more we can rely on biological and manual and natural controls, the better we feel about what we're doing here. So I think that's really about all I've got. Again, our mission statement is restoring nurse ecosystems one tree at a time. That's why working with Steve and the Ozark Chinquapin Foundation is so important to our mission and our cause, and we really enjoy these types of projects. So is any questions?
I've got a couple of them right here while Tori's looking to see if we got any questions from the viewers here. Wow, I have so much respect for what y'all are doing. This is really good. So you've got a green approach, and you're on the cutting edge of what everybody is going to. If you look at Europe, what they're doing, it's similar to what you just described there too. They've been the route using pesticides and all. They want to go, best practices to avoid a lot of the problems that you're running into. I'm just amazed by all this. One good thing about the RPM tree that I think is great, the Ozark Chinquapin, and a little bit later on here, Kim, we're going to be talking about the kind of habitat they grow in, and it has to be well-drained locations. And so last year we experimented, the year before, with your RPM trees from the seed we've been sending to you. The good thing about them, you can grow them anywhere. I mean, these can be grown, and I like that one rocky place that you had, and I'm thinking, well, that may be too rocky, but 95% success rate on it. So the good thing about this is working with all of you, we're able to make a tree, Ozark Chinquapin tree, a pure one, available to everybody. And so I think this is a great thing. In fact, I don't know if you know Rudy Rachline.
Yes, I do.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So Steve Mowry is best friends with him. And so when Steve is the one that first told me about your nursery, and this has been a few years ago. And so I began to research and all. And he told me, he said, well, you need to work with these guys to develop a money stream for trying to restore the tree. And he said, I would pay, 25 or 30 bucks for one of these trees if it would grow anywhere. He said, I spend thousands and thousands on, deer and turkey habitat. And so, so when I sent that 1,000 seed off to you, Steve Mowry said, well, Rudy will take 500 of those. So he was pretty free with somebody else's money. I thought that was good. But it goes to show about, about the demand for them. And so trees for a food plot are a new thing, a new concept. And so with us, we're limited to well-drained soil, whether it be sandy, terrace along a creek or a hillside. So my question for you is looking ahead. So I think we may have this worked out this year on how to get what you need early enough to make it happen. So and I was going to send those out actually on Friday, but we had our board meeting. I was getting ready for it. So it'll be this upcoming week. I'll be sending those up to Lupe and to Edith. And so my question for you is, what do you see as far as the potential these, the selling of these to people who want to have food plots? I don't know if you were in on the other presentations. We talked about the comparison between the Chinese and the American, the Ozark Chinquapin, but the Ozark Chinquapin beats all those hands down, and right. Carbohydrates and protein. So just and I'll be quiet and let you talk for a little bit. Tell us what your thoughts are.
I did not hear the presentation, but I have seen the comparison of the nutrition comparison, and it does blow it out of the water. But what's even to me more important is we do grow Chinese chestnut, and we like to keep it to where it's going into an orchard for production. I'm not a fan of seeing Chinese chestnut used for food plots, and if we can get a native chestnut out there to the deer hunters, I just don't even know what I mean, it's unimaginable what the response could be. But not even just to hunters. I gave a presentation at Grow Native last November, and I took one of the Chinquapins with me, and I brought it back. But I took one and I showed it. I showed it to everybody and talked a little bit about your program, and the excitement over that. It was unbelievable. I mean, there's just such an appetite for restoring this tree, and as far as making the numbers happen, it's just a matter, of time and building the seed source and getting seed available. What's encouraging to me is that we're getting seed production this far north of its native range, and so I'm very excited about that.
No, I don't know if Sandra's here, but in Connecticut, she's had them growing for a while. She got some Ozark Chinquapins from Virginia. We've got them growing they've been growing for a while in Michigan, in Kansas, places where you have negative 20 below zero through the winter. And that was a big surprise we learned years ago. It's that, they're not as dependent on the temperature as we thought. They'll grow in colder places. And the soil pH, everybody thought that was a big thing. They will grow in slightly alkaline soils as well. And so, it's been a learning experience for us. And so I think it's a great thing. And so I know Rudy's got a farm up near the Iowa border. I think he's got about 1,700 acres. So Leslie and I went over to Rudy's place near the Gasconade River, and not too far from Highway 15. We planted 14 trees, and I talked to him the other day, and if I remember correctly, he had one of them that he didn't have a grow tube around. It got dug up and eaten, I think, by the rodents, but the other 13 are doing good. And so he got a lot of good rains, and we did not. And I've been having to water these trees quite a bit. Storms that missed us made it up there, and but they're doing great. And kind of a testimony, and this sounds bad on me, but I'll admit to something really bad. I did not read the grow instructions. I just thought you could plant them anywhere, so that's what we did. We planted your trees on 3 types of soil near the Gasconade River, and they all took off. We did not amend the soil like the instructions say with organic matter, and they still did good.
Great.
I have a question, if I could. I wanted to clarify, just to make sure I understand the seed source and the blight resistance. So you mentioned that the trees that the nursery has are from 205, I think you said. And I just wondered if, Steve, are some of our more recent genetics that have been tested with the assay test to actually, show that they do have blight resistance, are some of those seeds going in the hands of the nursery?
Excellent question. So you bring up a good 2-part thing. So let me answer another part that ties into that, and I'll answer directly what you said. People do not want to pay $25, $30 and buy like an RPM tree and plant it, and then only to have it die of the blight within 10 years or so. And so, you know, I see this pretty typically. I have people call me up and they say, well, you know, you guys charge $30 a membership. You give out 5 to 12 seed or whatever. And so we've got, you know, a whole bucket of them here and we can sell them at a bargain. I said, well, that's great. But what you have is a low resistance seed soil. And you're going to plan on go to all that work and trouble. And then they're going to get up, they're going to die on you, you know, probably within 5 to 7 years from the blight. What we have, though, is 14 years of work, you know, breeding and actually laboratory testing to make sure that they have high resistance. And some of them, like Leslie pointed out, not only do they have high resistance, but it's real close to the Chinese chestnut, Castanea mellissima. And some of our better ones are actually have higher resistance than the Chinese chestnut. So to answer your question, we've only been sending to Forest Keeling our better seed. You know, we've been sending to them some of our best of the best, and then some others that have good resistance, but are also some of the highest producers and best drought tolerance. We've been sending a combination of genetics. And by the way, those genetics we do have patented through the U.S. Patent Copyright Office. And so, you know, you have a patented process here that y'all are doing. And then we have, you know, we have plenty of Chinquapin nuts, but the ones that have the high resistance, like Kelly's talking about, we don't have as many. But to answer your question, though, that's what we've been sending them to go ahead and do this RPM process with.
That's good. Well, part of the reason I asked Kim is because I'm involved with a botanical garden in Fayetteville, Arkansas, and the garden was built on a basically a pasture, you know, what used to be a pasture, and it's very flat, and it has the soil quality is not likely to be friendly to a Chinquapin, and yet I very much desire for them to be able to have a Chinquapin that is healthy, that they can use for educational purposes and outreach purposes. And so I'm dreaming of putting these two things together. That's my hope.
We'll make that happen.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Good.
And Steve, you may know more than I about the selection that we have growing here, or the tree that we have growing here. It came, I think, from Skip Margolius, for you know within RCS, and Lupe refers to it as the schoolhouse tree.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what you know of that tree and its resistance.
Yeah, it's I was over in Southwest Missouri actually earlier, I guess, this year, and I talked to Andy Thomas, and those genetics from those, he had at least one that was already starting to get the blight. He had somebody confirm it was Cryphonectria parasitic chestnut blight, and it was on a grafted rootstock. And so the big issue that we have, and see, we've been working with the nursery, MDC nursery over at Licking, and we didn't really want, we've been working with them for years, but we didn't want to really advertise this really big because we did not have a finished product yet. And so we did not want to put in the hands of people that maybe, 50% of the time they would make it, the other 50% they would not, that would turn people off. And so now we have laboratory, two labs that have confirmed extremely high resistance. And those seed that we have on that, this year we had some issues with freeze in May and rain during pollination. So all across the range, we were probably down, to maybe a third or fourth what we usually collect. No problem, because we still were looking at getting thousands of seed, having plenty to send up to you too. And then, so we had a bumper crop of squirrels this year, and where a lot of our best trees are growing on research test plots, there were no white oak acorns this year, maybe because of the rain or the May freeze, I don't know. And very few red oak acorns, plenty of walnuts, but very few of those. So ordinarily it would not be a problem, but we had squirrels eating everything Chinquapin they could find. And so it took a bigger bite out of the seeds that we have. But even with that, we're still sending some to you, but they are the better genetics so that we're sending.
Hey, Kim, we have
Yes.
one question on the chat. Did you answer the question, how do trees with large tap roots work with air pruning of roots?
Well, what we have, we aren't a research institution. We are observers and have a lot of anecdotal experience. And if you see a large tree that has been felled from a storm or something, you'll notice that it doesn't have a taproot. All the roots are in the, like 18 to 24 inches of the soil. So it's our thought that the taproot initially serves as a survival mechanism in nature. The seed sends that taproot down to reach nutrients, but it's the lateral roots and we also think at some point, when we know that at some point that taproot goes away, it's not there for life. We think that happened. We think that the timing of when the taproot starts to disseminate is also what triggers flowering and fruiting in trees, and that's another reason why we think we get the earlier fruiting and flowering. We've sold and shipped millions of these along the Mississippi River, and as far as stability, a lot of people think that because it has lateral roots instead of the taproot, that it's going to blow over. It's just not the case. We think the taproot is an early survival mechanism, and it's a juvenile stage of the tree's life, and we're kind of skipping that stage, so to speak, with the RPM system. And does that answer the question?
I think it does. That question had come from, and if it doesn't answer, I'm sure he'll let us know.
Okay.
Tori, do you have any questions on the chat box from anyone?
That was the only one that had been posted.
Okay, then. Okay. What's amazing about these trees, and that's good how you describe this. I'm really liking what I'm hearing here. And we appreciate you taking your time out of your busy day, Kim, to speak to us on this Saturday. It's a pretty day out there. One thing that I was really astounded by these in the wild, our trees that we've got under good conditions, they can make pollen the second year, and that's the third. And so what I was amazed about is some of these trees that we got from it, these RPM trees, they had not only pollen on them, some of them, just like you said, actually had female flowers. And usually that's the third year generally that we look at, unless it's one that we, did a graft with from, a twig up on the upper branches of. So, and we do, asexual reproduction to experiment with it, to accelerate what we've been working with, and man, it's just great. But it's a win-win thing. It's a native tree. And here you are making it available to people that will grow faster and grow anywhere. And so, partnering with you, our hope is to be able to get this money stream going where you can make money from it and we can get a money stream to help us in our restoration of the tree and growing native and, doing what you're doing. We stand together more than ever. I have a huge appreciation even more now of what you've done. And so I think it's great. And I'll open up to see if anybody else has any comments or would like to say something else.
Steve, I'm not address this to you. I'm going to address this to Kim. Kim, I'm at Hobb State Park, and I'm really interested in learning more about this tree, but I'd like to have a conversation that'd be longer than we have time for right now. So you will probably be hearing from me. I'd like to talk with you some more.
That would be wonderful. I guess, Victoria, is my contact information available, or?
I guess I can get that from Steve.
Yes, I can get that for you. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, any time. And you know, the other thing is we love visitors. Even through the whole COVID thing, we managed to cope and socially distance with our visitors. But we really, you know, we have no secrets. We've got kind of an open book policy here, and if any of you want to visit and see what we're doing firsthand, we would love to have you.
You know, just one more quick thing, and I'll let somebody else talk before you go, Kim. One interesting thing about all this is that you have a shorter growing season than what we do in Southeast Missouri or in Arkansas.
Yes, we do.
And still 2 or 3 times larger. I think that's just astounding.
Well, you know, we give them we give them every opportunity that we can for them to grow and perform. And you know, hats off to my dad. Again, he's not a researcher, but he sure observes a lot of things, and you know, he likes working in tandem with nature. And you know, most of what we do is timing wise. You know, we put the seed in the soil at the time it would naturally fall from the tree. We bring them out into, you know, out of the stratification, you know, without heat and you know, extra help. We let Mother Nature do most of the work.
Awesome. Very good.
Everyone, if you want Kim's contact information, I just put her email in the chat. It is kyoung@fknursery.com.
Thank
And
you,
before
Victoria.
And Kim, before you go, be sure and tell Wayne I said hi, and Lupe and Edith. I can't say enough good stuff about what they've done, and I'm inspired that you picked up where your dad's is working at it. And it's,
well, I know, you know, Leslie probably can really say what a treasure it is to be able to work with your dad. And you know, I learn from him every day, still to this day. And sometimes I hear the stories more than once, but you know, that kind of comes with it. But it truly is a wonderful thing to be able to work with your dad. So I enjoy seeing you and Leslie working together.
Thank you, Kim.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and I'm going to listen in to the end of the day, and so I'll still be with you. And if any questions come up, just let me know.
very good, very good.
Thank you so much. Enjoyed that.
Yep.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Yes, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.